Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. So, most of you guys that watch my videos, you can see well, Star Trek is one of my passions, but I do a lot of videos where it's geared towards the ships, because I really like the ships. But this time I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you the weapons. Well, the weapon. I'm going to show you the phaser gun that was featured in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And this was the phaser that was depicted on the screen. Now this has an interesting story with it, because a while back I had bought some stuff off eBay. I bought a box. I was looking for the phaser, the Star Trek II, the Wrath of Khan phaser. Make a long story short, I found one. The auction was ending. It was $50 and it was free shipping, and it said it had Star Trek bonuses with it. Well, when I got the box, I opened it up and I had a 1/1000 USS Enterprise model from Polar Lights. There was a Klingon D7 battlecruiser that was 1/1000 scale from Polar Lights. That was already made, but it was taken apart and put in its box. And anyway, I had wanted this. This is from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and this is the phaser. Well, when I had taken it out of the box, I was looking at this one, and I heard a noise coming from in the box. And when I rooted through underneath the model kits, I was astonished to find this one. It's a whole nother phaser. So when they said bonuses, you know, they weren't kidding. So for $50 with free shipping, I ended up getting two of the hand phasers. This will be a video that's coming up shortly. I'll do a video on this exclusively coming up. That's the Wrath of Khan hand phaser. But what I want to show you today is from Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And it doesn't have the inside plastic tray or the paperwork, but hey, that's okay. This is amazing. This was a great bonus. So, let's talk about it. This phaser is from Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Excuse me. Now, Search for Spock, it picks up where Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan leaves off. You remember they had just defeated Khan, and the Reliant was destroyed, but in its destruction, Genesis was launched, and that created a planet. The Enterprise had a ceremony because Mr. Spock was killed while saving the Enterprise. So they had a ceremony, his funeral, and they buried him at sea, in a manner of speaking, and they launched his casket onto Genesis. So the Enterprise leaves and is on the voyage back home. Well, come to find out that Admiral Kirk is feeling uneasy about everything. They get back, and they're told that the Enterprise is past their prime, and they're going to be going with Excelsior, so the Enterprise is going to be decommissioned. And all the chaos that's going on, Sarek, Spock's father, ends up visiting Admiral Kirk at his home. And he demands to know why Kirk left his son on Genesis. And Kirk is, well, he's dumbfounded. He doesn't know what to say because he thinks he was dead and that was the end of it. And Sarek informs him that only the body was in death. The Katra, his spirit, was still alive and it was in agony. And he wanted to know where it could have been. Admiral Kirk informs him that they were separated when Spock died, so he couldn't touch him. But upon reviewing the tape, they see that Mr. Spock had melded with Dr. McCoy. So Dr. McCoy was carrying Mr. Spock's Katra. So, where do the weapons come in? Okay, so Admiral Kirk goes to Starfleet, and he asks to get the Enterprise back to go back to Genesis, because he needs to pick up his friend and bring the body to Vulcan, where it can be reunited with its Katra. Starfleet Command denies it. They claim that Genesis is top secret and that no one but the science teams is allowed to go into Genesis, and the whole area is restricted, the Mutara sector. Admiral Kirk gets told no, but he's going to go anyway. So, hence, everybody asks, what's the word, Admiral? And he says, the word is no. I am therefore going anyway. So they devise a plan to steal the Enterprise. Mr. Scott gets reassigned to the Excelsior, and while there he sabotages the trans-warp drive, which is well, I guess faster, more powerful, and more efficient, supposedly, than a regular warp drive, which the Enterprise has. So we're not to that part yet, but he does sabotage the Excelsior. It's Admiral Kirk, Commander Chekhov. Let's see, who goes with him? Scotty, Kirk, Dr. McCoy, Chekhov, and Mr. Sulu. Scotty rigs the Enterprise where it can be ran by those people on the bridge. Admiral Kirk informs him that he has to do it because Dr. McCoy has the Contra in him and it's driving him crazy too. And Kirk, it's just his responsibility to his friend, so he's got to go. Of course, the others refuse to let them go alone, and they go with them. Okay, so now, the first time we see this weapon introduced, Lieutenant Uhura is working a station with somebody that was just fresh out of the academy, and he's all gung-ho, and he's talking about adventure, and he wants excitement. Well, Admiral Kirk walks in, and, let's see, at the time, was it with Scotty? I don't think it was with Scotty yet. Dr. McCoy maybe, I don't remember, but he does walk in to be transferred to the Enterprise. And the person that Lieutenant Uhura was with, he's confused. He doesn't know why. There's no orders, no destination papers or anything like that. So Lieutenant Uhura pulls this weapon, aims it at him, and says, "You wanted adventure, how's this?" So she forces him into the closet. So after all that rambling, just to let you know, that's the first time that I remember, that I think, that we see this weapon, is when Lieutenant Uhura uses it in order to get full access to the transporter panel. I think Mr. Sulu, when he goes and they rescue Dr. McCoy, they finally get in. I think Mr. Sulu is using the Type 1 phaser that I'll show you. This separates into Type 1 and Type 2 to destroy the panel. And Dr. McCoy doesn't know what's going on. And when Admiral Kirk informs him, it was pretty amusing. When Dr. McCoy realizes why he was feeling so crazy. He had said that green-blooded son of a bitch. It was his revenge for all his arguments that he lost, which is pretty funny. Admiral Kirk sits down, looks at him, goes, "How many figures do I have up?" Dr. McCoy goes, "That's not very damn funny." Anyway, they end up getting there. I think that's the Type 2 phaser, a Type 1 phaser that was shown. Then, after the destruction of the Enterprise, which is my most heartbreaking part of all the movie, by far, incidentally, I think the Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, has some of the most beautiful footage of the Enterprise. The way they filmed the model, the way they lit it, and the way she looks on the screen, she's just gorgeous. Anyway, that's my opinion. When it comes to footage of the Enterprise refit, Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, short of the destruction, is by far my favorite. I think she's absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, the Klingon bird of prey steals the Genesis information, is on their way to Genesis, Commander Kruge. He gets there only to find the Enterprise. Enterprise comes in, and the Enterprise fires on the Klingon bird of prey, disabling it. Well, the firing puts the Enterprise in overload, and the rigging Mr. Scott did ended up getting short-circuited, so the whole ship was useless. So what happens is, to make a long story short, the Klingons are going to board the Enterprise, because the Enterprise surrenders. The Klingon bird of prey has like 12 to 15 crew members total. So Commander Kruge sends every last man to the Enterprise to take the ship and to capture it. To make a long story short again, the landing party beams down to Genesis. And in, kind of a simultaneous exchange, the Klingons beam aboard. They search the ship, they don't find anything, and what happens is they get to the bridge, and everything is deserted, and the only thing that's talking is the computer, and its countdown. At that point, I think it's down to 5, and then the Enterprise explodes. So once the landing party is on the ground, don't forget Saavik and David Admiral Kirk's son is on the planet. So they're down there and they get captured by Klingon officers that are there. And the Klingons end up killing David's son. By the time Admiral Kirk gets there, they use the phaser, and that's the third time that I remember that this phaser is introduced, because Kirk shoots at the Klingon and kills them. Let's see, how many did he... I don't remember how many he shot at and killed offhand. I do all this I ramble by memory. I do apologize for my rambling. But anyway, that's the other time that I remember we see this. So, that all being said, let me show you the box. You can see it's got Diamond Select, it's got Captain Kirk on it, and a beautiful picture of the Enterprise. And this was, let's see, 2015. Again, I'll put up pictures. The sides have where you can see in it, got the clear part, and you got the ART Asylum. Same thing with the other side. The other side has Diamond Select. And on the back, you can see a nice depiction of the phaser as Type 2 and Type 1, as you can remove it. 5 lights and sound settings: heat, stun, kill, disintegrator, and self-destruct, as seen in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. And again, this has some information. So in the world of Star Trek, phasers are Starfleet's most common type of directed energy weapon. Firing Nadion particle beams, each phaser has a variety of settings and can stun, kill, and even disintegrate a humanoid target. It can also be used to heat rocks for warmth. And at a high setting, it can cut through walls and burrow through solid stone. A phaser beam can be focused or spread out in an array, and a phaser can be set to overload and self-destruct, should that function become necessary. So, it shows you all that on the box. The bottom shows you the products that Diamond Select have. Let's see. I don't have the science tricorder, but I did do a video on Dr. McCoy's medical. The communicator and the phaser, I have a video on that. The Enterprise B I do not have. The disruptor I do not have, and I don't have that. Like a little puffy Enterprise. So, with that being said, let's take this out of the box and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Again, this one doesn't come with any paperwork or a tray on the inside, but I do have the box that it came in, and I've got the phaser. Remember, I wasn't even supposed to get this. That's why this is so cool. So the first thing you'll notice on the top is if you push the button, nothing works. You see the little switch. You push the switch, and it goes on. Now this is while it's a Type 2 phaser. You can see it. Now this button, the blue button, what this does is this will fire the weapon while it's a Type 1 phaser. You go up to these bars, the yellow, and the white and the red. You press them, the light will go to 1, and that will be to heat something. You go to 2, that'll be to stun. Push it again, you can go to level 3, and that'll be set to kill. And when you put it all the way, that'll be set to disintegrate whatever it hits. You can see when you fire it, forgive me for shooting you guys. You can see the light from the beam. Now this part, the hand part, does not have any compartments at all. Does not contain any batteries. The lighting is coming from this unit, which would be the Type 1 hand phaser. And as I said before, you can take this off. So what I'm going to do, you push the back of it a little bit forward, and it just lifts right out. And you can see the little contacts that power the bottom hand section. Again, there's no battery compartments, there's no power in this. So we'll put that aside. And I'll show you the Type 1. Now you don't have the trigger on the bottom. Now you use this and it's set to disintegrate. So you want to set it to stun. Now you shoot. excuse me, that was the heat setting, the first one. The second is stun. Set to kill. And set to disintegrate. So you got the switch. And you got the details. The speaker is underneath, and you can see the contacts that go back on to the bottom part, the hand part. And the lighting. You can see the lighting. And when you want to put it back on, you align it back up with the contacts, and you just push gently, and it clicks back into place. And you're back to your Type 2 hand phaser. And we don't want it to disintegrate, so let's set it to stun. So I'll stun you guys. And that, my friends, is the weapon from Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Again, The Search for Spock picks up right where the Wrath of Khan leaves off, but interestingly, it's the same time period where the Enterprise destroys the Reliant, and the phaser that Kirk uses to destroy the little indigenous life forms that were put into Chekhov's ear to help control him is a totally different phaser. Anyway, that being said, this is the Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, hand phaser. Set it to disintegrate. I hope you enjoyed this video, this kind of like a little bonus video, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Till then, live long and prosper.